Welcome to another edition of Positively Douglasville. I'm Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville. I'm so excited today, I can hardly contain myself. It's Mr. Cunningham, my friend. We're going to talk to him about being a veteran and just all the other things that you do. It's Veterans Day this month, and we're celebrating. And so I was praying and thinking about someone wonderful to bring in. I said, you know what, we have all these great people, but there's an American hero that I know. And so I want to talk to you about that. You're very humble, but so welcome, Mr. Cunningham. It's good to have you.
Good to be here, Mayor.
Well, good. Okay, so talk to us about yourself just a little bit. I know you're from the D originally.
Yes. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and graduated high school and just enlisted into the military with no expectations. And but once I got in, I realized the long-term benefits of staying. So
Wow.
stayed 31 years.
31 years, that's a lifetime. Yeah.
Not really.
And Cooley High, did you go to Cooley High?
Yes, I did.
Get out of town, that's like a
Yeah.
movie. Why
Yeah.
can't I? No. That's an iconic school.
Dating yourself, because a lot of people
Oh,
don't
I
know what
know.
that is. So.
You have to go back and watch it on the old channels or something, AMC. I don't really know about that, but so Cooley High in Detroit it's the different Detroit than it is today.
Oh, yes. You know,
Yeah.
back when I was growing up, you know, the motor industry was doing very, very well, and you know, everyone, you know, had nice cars and nice
Yeah.
homes and everything. So
But it's coming back.
it's going to take quite a few more years.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
But we went there for our link trip, the Atlanta Regional Commission, and we went downtown. It's like the Big Fist, but we went downtown by the river, and all in the area is really, really nice.
Yes, downtown is beautiful.
Yeah.
Downtown is beautiful, but you go out to the rural areas. You know, it's just it's kind of hard to explain to people. You know, we as Douglasville, you know, we are part of Atlanta.
That's right.
But you know, the distance from us to Atlanta is 20 miles or so.
Exactly.
If you would travel from downtown to Atlanta, from where we are here to Atlanta, like downtown Detroit, you're still in Detroit.
Wow.
Detroit is massive.
Yes.
So, you know, where we have multiple cities all the way through, that's still all Detroit. So it's kind of,
Yeah,
you know,
this is a different.
difficult for people to grasp that, you know, that, you know, that city is really that big.
It's
So
large, but in the
it's
inner city, they
large.
have all these gardens in some of the dilapidated areas for homes. They've bought up, the city has bought up areas where they're putting pocket parks and gardens and
Right,
stuff, and
right.
it's really nice. We went to the Ford plant, and so that was really interesting to see all those cars and stuff. And you know, Detroit I'm from Ohio, so it spread out,
Right.
that whole car industry where those plants and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's coming back, and I'm excited for Detroit, for the big D to come back. So you went to the
Still too cold.
military, and you were in the Army at first. Talk to us
Yes.
about the Army and how
Well,
you went in at 18 or 19 years old.
18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. I initially went in to the Army because my father retired from the Army, you know, before I went in. So I actually didn't know anything about the military at all. You know, we never traveled with my father or anything like that. And so all I knew about was the Army, so I joined the Army.
Right.
And believe it or not, I didn't even know that jobs existed in the military. So took the test, didn't know I scored off the charts. The recruiter asked me what I want to do. I said, I want to join.
Right.
And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I just want to join. He said, you want to live in the woods and eat snakes and everything? So I said, sure. And he made me an infantryman. So,
Wow.
and I, you know, went down to Fort Benning, went to boot camp, graduated boot camp. From there, I went to airborne school, went to jump school. While I was in jump school, recruiters came down from the old guard of the Army in Washington, D.C., and I got selected for that. So
Yes.
I actually did my time in Washington, D.C., you know, carrying caskets and ceremonies in D.C.,
Wow.
and I actually got to guard the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Wow.
So that was pretty honorable, too. So,
Mr. Cunningham, talk to me about that. How was that? I mean, just
it's, you know, it's
moving.
Yes, it is. I mean, like I say, to me, it's an honor. I didn't stay with it and, you know, the long term and get the Tomb Guard badge, but it was an honor to do it, you know. So
Now, jump school.
yes.
How was that? I wanted to go. So, you know, I was in the Army, and I did my basic in AIT at Fort Jackson, but I couldn't gain the weight to hold the The parachute. I kept eating. They were like, "Go eat potatoes, Martin. Get back in there, private. Eat some potatoes." So I kept eating, but I couldn't gain the weight to hold the parachute, and I was trying so much. Now that's not a problem I have these days, but it was way back in the day. Yeah. So how was that?
Well, jump school, it's a blur. I mean, I can't remember the number of weeks it was. I mean, so long ago. 6 weeks. I don't know, whatever. But and there's so many people in the class. I mean, you have 600, 800 people in a class.
Get out of town. Not everybody graduates, though, right?
Pretty much everyone does.
They do?
Unless you break a leg or something, you're going to graduate.
Get out of here. You get thrown out of planes.
That's exactly what happens. You literally get thrown out the plane. So, I mean, once that door opens, I mean, you're hooked up. You go through a lot of training on the ground of how to land, how to fall, parachute landing falls and stuff like this. And by the time you get up in that plane, once that door opens, you don't know what happens. I mean, because the guy in the back starts pushing and everyone's out the door before you even know it. You're just looking up at the sky and,
People pay money now to do that. Yes. They like bungee jump and do all kinds of stuff. So you were in the Army, and I want to talk to you about your wife, because she is a veteran also. She's in the Navy.
She's in the Navy.
So did you meet her, because you have two branches of service.
Yes.
You were in the Army, and then you were in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
So did you meet her? When did you meet her? She's so sweet.
Well, I met my wife while we were in school, air traffic control school. So, funny story. Again, I didn't know I scored off the charts,
Wow.
So I was supposed to re-enlist in the Army actually as an air traffic controller. But one week before the field I was supposed to re-enlist, actually sign the paperwork. The field closed up, and the only thing the Army had left was combat arms MOSs. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I went to every other service. I went to the Navy, I went to the Air Force, and said, hey, I want to be an air traffic controller. And they were like, no. Well, the way I ended up in the Marine Corps is the Marine recruiter, lied right in my face.
Oh, no.
He just lied right in my face, and I remember his name. I'm not going to say it. He lied right in my face and told me, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. I was like, hey, I'm getting out of E4. Can you maybe come in as an E3? Oh, yeah, I can do that, Hey, I want to be an air traffic controller. Oh, yeah, I can do that, And so I said, okay. So I joined the Marines, and actually the day before I'm going to boot camp, he comes up to me and he's like, well, Cunningham, say I got some bad news. I'm like, what? He says, well, I couldn't guarantee you the MOS. I tried, I tried. I said, wait a minute. That's the whole reason why I'm coming in, is because you told me you'd let me be an air traffic controller. And I said, okay, well, what about, am I coming in as an E3 at least, He says, well, I couldn't get that either.
What?
He said, anybody prior service, we can let you come in as an E2. And I said,
way.
Staff Sergeant, everything you told me was a lie.
Yeah.
And I said, what are my options? He says, well, if you graduate Honor Man out of boot camp, then Honor Man gets a meritorious promotion and you get to pick your MOS. And I said, I'll take that. And
Honor Man.
Yeah,
that's a lot to do.
Yeah, so I graduated Platoon Honor Man and Series Honor Man.
Give me some of that, man. That is great.
So from there, I got my meritorious E3 and picked my job as air traffic control. While I was in air traffic control school, and that's when I met my wife. So back in 1989. Navy? Yes. So it was on a base in Millington, Tennessee. It's a Navy and Marine school. So Navy and Marines went to the same school for air traffic control.
Okay. And that was her MOS as well, or whatever?
Yes. Well,
her school.
She got stuck with the MOS. She didn't want to be an air traffic controller. She scored well as well, and they put her in air traffic control, and she told them again, I do not want to be an air traffic controller.
Man.
She wanted to do something totally different.
That's a lot of stress. Telling planes and helicopters and all that stuff where to go.
Actually, believe it or not, I love the job. I love the job. I love the job.
Well, you all
Couldn't
are
deal with
a
the people,
power
though.
couple. Really?
Oh, yes.
You could say you're cool. You just you don't let things get you down, so or stress you out. And you can't with two children. You have a son, and this is how I met you. This is a funny story how I met you. My son Joel was in marching band.
Right.
And then his sister Anna, who's the same. No, your son Brandon is with.
He's a senior now.
He's a senior, so he's with Olivia.
Okay.
So Anna was in band, and she followed her brother. She was a freshman, and I think he was a senior. And so I was going to a parent meeting, and I had been in the band for 4 years. It was kind of, let's see, I was a band booster. It wasn't the most organized.
Yes.
But when you
Been there, done
became
that.
the president of the band boosters, I knew it was a military person, because when I walked in, you had all the forms lined up on the table. You'll remember this in the cafeteria. Everything was so organized. And I said, who is the new band president? I know it has to be. When I saw you, I said, he's military. I don't even have to ask. I know. And then you told me that you were. So that's how we met. But the funnier part is, Anna, the freshman that came in the band playing the flute, she said, Mommy, there is a cute boy in the band, and he and Joel were racing, and she said, he is so cute. I said, who are you talking about? And then she showed me. I said, Anna, nope, he is older than you. It was only a year, but still. So she was talking about your son.
Right.
So that's a funny story how we met, that I knew you were military because it was finally organized, and my daughter had a crush on your son. But anyway, so tell me about your kids, and I know you have a daughter at West Georgia.
Yeah, they're just amazing. You know, she's in her 3rd year. She was actually born in Okinawa, Japan.
Okay.
Christmas Day. You know,
No way,
1997.
she's a Christmas Day baby. That's a great.
Yep, and she'll be 21 in December. 3rd year college, and she's already teaching at West Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Not West Georgia. Well, she works at West Georgia, but she teaches at New Manchester High School as assistant band director there. So.
Okay, so she's music as well.
Oh yes, she's a music major. Yes.
Okay, so and Brandon is going to do music as well.
Music is her life.
Okay.
Music is her life.
And Brandon's thinking about music also.
Brandon's music life also. Yes.
Georgia Southern.
He may end up at the same college she's at, believe it or not. So.
Okay. Very good, very good. So Okinawa, talk to us about, you were there for 6 years in Japan. You know Konnichiwa.
12 actually.
Get out of town.
Yeah. So.
How was that?
That was amazing.
It was amazing.
That was amazing. Amazing people, amazing environment, amazing community. So Okinawa, even though it's a part of Japan, it's comparatively like Hawaii is to the United States. Little small tropical island, way south. You know, every Christmas Day you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt. You know.
Oh, you need some snow, man.
No,
from Detroit to you.
That's Hokkaido. That's mainland Japan, up way north. No, we were so far south. You know, tropical. I mean, the island's only top to bottom 8 miles long.
Oh, okay.
And the widest point, well, no, 63 miles long. The widest point side to side, 8 miles, and the narrowest point is 3 miles across. So it's just a little strip. I mean, you can barely see it on the map. And like I said, we lived there 12 years and did not want to leave.
Really?
You know, they made us come back to the States and renew our citizenship.
Oh my goodness. So you and your wife had the same, you were stationed at the same place in Okinawa?
No, no. So she only did, we met in '89. And we were both got stationed in California.
Okay.
So my first 4 years in the Marine Corps was in California, and she did her time up in Lemoore, California, and I was in San Diego.
Oh,
so we were 5 hours apart. So for the first 4 years, pretty much,
my goodness.
Every weekend, either I'm going up there to see her or she's coming down to see me. So one good thing about being air traffic control at that time is you literally only work 4 days a week. So pretty much every weekend was a 3-day weekend. So outside of me deploying, the first Gulf War, so.
Yeah, so let's talk about being deployed. You were deployed 2 times, the Gulf
Yes.
War and Afghanistan?
Yes.
Okay, so,
so
I know before we talked about, and my niece is in the Navy now, and I emailed Diamond, we're texting, we're FaceTiming.
Right, yeah.
And when I was in the Army, I was missing my family, because you get a letter, it's like 2 weeks old.
Right.
But now with technology, it's really different. So you had a different experience as far as that's concerned.
Yes.
If you, whatever you can share about it.
Yeah, the first Gulf War, being deployed out there, and I was actually aboard a ship, a couple of ships there. So we took an ARG out, and there's no internet. You take your MCI calling card with you, and whenever you hit a port, you would use your calling card to make an international call with rates that were out the wazoo, and so you literally, call 1 or 2 times. I mean, honestly, I can't say I called more than a dozen times, but my phone bill from those calling cards were almost $10,000.
That is
for that 6-month period.
$10,000, just like a student loan. You still
Exactly.
paying. No.
You know, and then, you know, and you wrote letters. You said the letter, you would get the letters 2 weeks late. So yeah, I wrote letters every day. But you know, they go out whenever they go out, and they come in whenever they came in. You know, when the mail finally got flown into the ship, you might get 5, 6 letters at a time. You know, same thing going out. But that was the first Gulf War. You know, Afghanistan, totally different experience. You know, at this time I'm a communication officer.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I mean, literally have a phone on your desk that you make a direct call, or you know, internet's out there available, FaceTime, and everything. So the holidays came around, you know, because I was there through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you know, New Year's and stuff like that. So the family put a computer at the end of the table.
And they could
they
see
had
you.
Thanksgiving dinner, and I sat in Afghanistan, and we all, you know, conversing. But
wow, was it hot?
Daily communication. Yes.
I know it was hot.
Yes. I got pretty skinny out there running around at that base out there.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so all these places: Tennessee, Okinawa, California, San Diego, and I've been to the one in San Diego. It's very nice. You were in Denver. Were you in Denver? Or Colorado?
Just visiting.
Oh, okay.
We got friends out there. You know, Sabrina and I've driven through there quite a few times. Visit friends out there. Matter of fact, had a Navy chaplain. She retired, so I went to her retirement a couple years ago out there. So then another friend of ours, he had a wedding out there. Sabrina and I flew out for the wedding.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go out to Denver quite a bit. So.
That's what I thought. It was something about Colorado. We're talking to the Madam Chair because she served some time in the Army, and her husband was in the Marine Corps, and so she was talking about Colorado, Denver or something. Washington, D.C., Afghanistan, Gulf War, and Douglasville, D.C. to Douglasville. So you've been here 10 years.
We've been here 10 years now, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, you have made a mark in your 10 years. You have annual parties at your house.
Yes.
Yes. Talk to me about, okay, we need an HGTV show to come to your house. You will redo, I think you get tired like after 6 months, and you redo the whole house or something. So for Halloween, it looked like the haunted house at Six Flags or something. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So you do Halloween, what other holidays? 4th of July?
4th of July is very big. Yeah, so we do outdoor movie nights, you know, got a couple 12.5-foot video screens, you know, and do movie nights outdoors, and just like to do things for the community. That's it, you know. Live in Chapel Hills, you know, I do the Christmas decorations through all the Chapel Hills every year.
Wow.
So.
But yeah, okay, talk, what's going on? Like your wife left one time when she came back.
So
everything was different. You
yeah,
just redo everything.
you know, I've always loved decorating and stuff like that. Matter of fact, even when we lived in base housing, you know, throughout our career time, but I'd always paint the walls and decorate the place and everything. And I mean, we were here in 29 Palms. I actually built a complete deck on the outside. I mean, massive.
What?
With the bridge and
you're not supposed to do that to
I know,
people's base housing.
You're not supposed. Honestly, you're not supposed to. And believe it or not, when I left, they said the deck's staying. You know, and they were like, "Oh yeah, stay there," and it stayed there for a good 10 years plus before they tore it down.
Oh my
goodness. That was pretty funny. They were like, you're not supposed to do this. And then, but when I left, they were like, "Hey, it's staying."
Wow.
But I love renovating and stuff. And my wife, her brother had a baby, you know, earlier in the year, and she went home for 5 days. And when she went home, she went to Virginia to see him for 5 days. And when she went home, I just totally redid our bedroom. You know, and
that was funny. You showed me those pictures. I could not believe it. Before and after in 5 days. That was remarkable.
That was no sleep, you know. And it's funny because she got home, and me and the kids are downstairs, and you know, we're sitting in the the breakfast nook, And normally she'll, you know, put her stuff down, she'll run upstairs and everything, but she stayed downstairs for like an hour.
Oh my God.
And we're all just looking at each other just like, you know, is she ever gonna go upstairs, you know? But
oh my goodness.
she finally went upstairs for about an hour, and we just heard her screaming, you know, when she
Really?
opened the door. She was just screaming, you know, it's like.
Aw, was she happy?
Oh, yes.
Okay, she was happy. Now your daughter, her place that you showed me at University of West Georgia, I'm like, okay now, it's like a loft apartment with all kinds of, I want to live with her. Man, TVs.
The guy that runs the place, you know, he allowed me to go in there and just do everything I wanted to do, renovate, and I mean, change out sinks and cabinetry and everything, you know. It's like, it's her first place, you know, and I'm like, you know, she's gonna live pretty nice. So.
That's sweet. You're a hands-on dad.
Yes.
So you volunteered with band. You do all this stuff in Chapel Hill subdivision for all these holidays, and you have a moving, I don't want to say it's production studio, but it's a whole lot. I mean, like a wedding, you'll have people's names on the ground with the lights and flowers, and the music is real. So how did you get into that? You know, you like the Renaissance man. All these.
I love to entertain, and then when people have events, I like to make the events successful. So I invest a lot into to helping making things successful for people. But playing music, I've always loved music and audio and sound. And you know, it's when I first went to the military, actually just before I went in, you know, I started kind of DJing back home in Detroit. You know, and
it's full circle.
And I went into the military, and you know, we get our paychecks every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we get a paycheck. I mean, you get a hard check. Nothing went direct. There was none of that direct deposit. Nothing. You know, you actually get a hard check, and you know, the guys would be broke that same weekend. If you get your check on a Friday, by Monday they're broke for the next 2 weeks. You know, and you know, I never smoked, drank, or nothing like that. So they go to the clubs, drinking, smoking, partying. You know, and I was at the club also, but I was a DJ, playing music. So I was making money.
Right.
So I DJ'd, you know, pretty much my whole life. You know, on the military bases that I, you know, worked at. But I just didn't understand the concept of not working when you're off, you know. So even, you know, when I got off work, I mean, when I was in DC, oh my goodness. So I DJ'd at the clubs a few nights a week. I was a courier on the weekends. You know, again, there's no internet, so law offices, when they need to get documents from one office to another in different cities, you know, you had a courier that would go to the law office, sign for the documents, pick them up, and take them to the other one.
Not on a bike, though, right?
No, in the car.
like New York.
And I cleaned office buildings, banks, car dealerships at night when they closed up. You know, I delivered pizza.
Mr. Cunningham,
you know, I mean, it's like when you're off, you know, go make some more money.
Yeah, that's your energy, though. That's what keeps you young. That's exciting. And now you're putting all of that into the community, like giving back and help. Because I said, okay, now where's your business card? No. You know, where's your renovation? You need, look, I said, come to the city and get your permit. And you're like, no, this is just a hobby. I just help. I just help people, and so that's a blessing, because you really, I mean, it's top notch. You can charge and make a whole lot of money doing all this stuff. So even all the DJing, you helped. I know you did something for my sorority when we had our regional event, and you're just a good guy. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. So you're gonna jump back in, and help, the school is over when Brandon graduates.
Yes,
it's it. You no more, no more DC.
No, it doesn't matter. You know, I still help if they need help. So
so you'll be at West Georgia and wherever else Brandon goes, just kind of.
Oh no! I let them. You know, no, I'm not that parent that gonna follow the kids to where they go to school. No.
So, what's been your favorite place to live outside of Douglasville, and your military travels?
Oh, Japan, of course. So,
Japan.
Absolutely, Okinawa, Japan. You know, was just phenomenal.
Really?
Yes. The people are just unbelievable.
Food?
The nice, the food's great too.
Okay.
Yeah, the food's great. Unfortunately, my wife and I both have shellfish allergy, so we couldn't partake in the.
How did you guys do that?
I don't know.
And she's so sweet. She's shy. I was like, we can have a husband and wife talk about military service. She said, no, that's okay. So she's very sweet. You all make a beautiful couple. How many years have you been married?
Well, come July, it'd be 30 years together.
Wow.
But be 27 married in August.
Congratulations. So. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. So the next phase will be grandchildren, but you're going to be empty nesters soon. And then you guys can travel to all these places. You can.
I'll be 60-something before I have a grandchild.
Well, that's
not
good.
even.
That's good. That's how you're supposed to be. You be a pop. You can't run around and like, okay, now this is what I really want to know. I saw you, you were wiping down this before we started. Because you're really neat.
OCD.
And so, I know, me too, man.
OCD.
And so, I've always kind of been like that because my dad was in the military also. He was in the Korean War. And so we kind of had structure, and I like structure, and I like discipline. So when I came out of, I was in the Army for 6 years, Army National Guard, then my 2 weeks in the summer, 1 week in a month, all of that. I wanted to go back because people were not organized like I needed them to be, And so how do you transition that from being in the military and things being structured and you have to be there, on time is late. You're there before the time, like you were today. Right. You beat me here. Yeah. And so how do you transition that?
Well, I don't think it's much of a transition. It's being in for 31 years, excuse me, you assume a lot of the disciplines into your life, your everyday life. So I think the hardest transition was transitioning to the civilian community for me, being around civilian personnel with no filter, and it's just I'm very reclusive, I guess. Keep to myself quite a bit, even though I'm a people person. But I can't be in the community too much because I just don't go out in the community because it's just hard to deal with a community like that. People.
Yeah, because I think you have expectations of them to be better.
And I think that's the thing. In the military, we have an expectation that's met because if you don't meet the expectation, then you're put out. So therefore, we're around a type of personnel that conform.
Exactly.
In the civilian community, there's no conformity. It's all individualism. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say. And it's.
You see him.
It's our country.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. But
it's
sometimes you do wish that people had filters and would be a little more compassionate and.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're great people.
Oh,
great people in the community and everything, But it's just a totally different era now with the onset of the internet and social media and everything in that. I don't partake in at all.
Yeah.
So
it's different. It's different. And then, so my husband says about me. Rochelle, get this bed, stop tucking these covers. When we first got married, he couldn't get out of the bed. He was like, what are you doing with the bed? Why do you have everything so tight? And so everything in the house is just, just so. So for me.
I know people come over and they're like, can I sit down? I'm like, they're like, it looks like a museum in here. I'm like, look, it's a home. Relax. Do whatever you want to do. Put your feet on the table. I don't care. Put your cup on the wood without a coaster. They're like,
Yeah. But you have to get up and make your bunk and have everything and have your, your trunk together and everything was just together. You had your uniform had to be just right. All your medals, everything.
And then tell you, starting out in the old guard. Which is the honor guard of the Army, and that was 24/7 every day. I mean, whatever you wore the day before. I mean, we had our own pretty much dry cleaning shop, press shop, everything. So, whatever you wore was cleaned, washed, pressed. You did it all yourself, and back in your wall locker, inspection ready the next morning. So every morning was an inspection.
Wow.
I mean, dusting the floors and waxing and tightening. Every single morning was an inspection. I mean, wall locker open, everything lined and sleeves lined up, and so doing that for 4+ years. Really, got you in the mindset of uniformity and everything. And so, believe it or not, it actually helped me when I went to the Marine Corps. You know, with the disciplines. You know, a lot of people everyone goes into the military. You know, but not everyone adopts the disciplines. You know,
That's right.
I'm a person that's adopted the disciplines and really understood what the value of the military was about, and adopted all that into my own personal life. But one thing I never did is brought those things into the household.
That's good.
You have to separate military life from your home life.
Yeah.
You know, I can't, have my kids running around like they're recruits in the military, or, you can never bring that stuff home.
Yeah.
You know, and then, military life, is there's a lot of times when you're away from your family and everything. So you have to understand that when you're away as a service member, the family is there continuing life as they are. So when I come home, I can't come back home and say, okay, I'm back home, I'm the man of the house, and this is how it's going to be. No, I just have to come back and I transition back into the household.
Yeah, and your wife has things running.
Yes, let her continue to run the things. So, your things you learn over all the years of being together and everything. So, that's one thing we did. Being here 10 years now. 10 years ago, both of the kids were still in elementary, and my wife wasn't too happy about it at the first, but now she understands, because we always went every duty station together.
Yes.
10 years ago, I knew I was going to retire in about 6 years or 7 years or whatever. So, but I wanted the kids to grow up in one area.
Yeah.
From elementary on. Back in 1991 was the first time my wife and I came out here.
Okay.
And we fell in love with, with Douglasville. We said, hey, we're gonna, when we decide to settle and retire, this is where we're gonna come and settle and retire. But none of this was here back in 91.
It took you all this time, from 91 to get here, 2000. 2000.
Yep, 91. We came here in 2008. So, but so we came here 2008. The kids were in elementary, and but I was never here. I did 2 years in Arizona, 2 years in California, and 2 years at the Pentagon.
Okay.
But in Arizona, I flew home like every 3 weeks or so, on the weekend, because it was literally 4 flights to get here. So it was just,
are you serious?
I would have to fly.
Flights?
I would have to fly from Yuma, Arizona, to Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona to Charlotte, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina to Atlanta.
You had a lot of miles.
And then do the same thing back. Then I did that for 2 years, and then 2 years I went to California. Now that was different because it was a 4.5 hour direct flight. So every weekend I was home.
California, Arizona.
4.5 hour direct flight from
Really?
From Orange County or San Diego straight to Atlanta. So I was home every weekend, except when I was deployed. Then I did that for 2 years, and then the last 2 years I was at the Pentagon.
Wow.
And that was an hour 10-minute flight, so I was home 3 days a week.
That was nice. That was nice. That's good. So you made time for your family.
Oh,
and that just shows that your priorities.
Oh, yes.
And your what's in your heart, because of course we know some military people. I'm not even going. They're not trying to be home like that.
Right.
It's an opportunity to do other things or kind of be selfish, but you really have yielded service to your country and to your family and your community. So I thank you for that. You're such a great example. And I'm so proud of you, proud to know you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service.
I'm very proud of you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You were a great supporter of mine, and I really appreciate that, you and your family. And this is the 100th anniversary for Veterans Day. It was in 1918, and now it's 2018. So I'm just proud to be able to talk with you and have you come in. And Mr. Cunningham, you just make us proud. Thank you for your service to our country and to our community. And many, many years, you're still young. You got a little bit of silver in your hair, but just a little bit. But thank you so much, sir, for everything that you've done for us and how you serve the country, and you make us proud. You really do. I just can't say that enough. Thank you for choosing Douglasville. And if you ever need us, please let us know. God bless you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. This has been another edition of Positively Douglasville. God bless you.